That's about all for today. A reminder to look out for those storms in the next week. A bit further afield, the potential for hellfire is high. A warning has been issued to the elderly who will be affected disproportionately. Thanks for watching.
Next up on L&C, a special look into the oncoming storm by Judd Zellett on Close-Up Investigation.
Fucking hell. Why can't you predict the weather to be a bit cooler for fucking once? Jesus fucking Christ. Fucking hot. I mean, no, fuck it. It's too hot. Fuck off. Hello and welcome to Close-Up Investigation. On tonight's special edition of the show, we will be investigating the oncoming storm. Is it real? Does it matter? And what do you have to do with it? But what is this so-called oncoming storm? Well, before we knew any better, it was referred to as the Rapture. It was discovered by those boffins at Flame Drop Oil back in the 60s, who thought it would have happened by now. However, they were concerned with irrelevant factors like the environment. As we can see from these images, the environment has never looked better. Since then, we have discovered that the real cause of the oncoming storm is you. Those boffins at our wonderful sponsor have now determined that the true cause of the oncoming storm is individual sin. The unfortunate truth is that, as a collective, we can do nothing to offset this. Everybody contributes to this collective sin through their individual thoughts and actions. If we are to combat the oncoming storm, Flame Drop Oil demands that everyone reduce their footprint of sin. A project called Footprint of Sin has been introduced to highlight the impact of each individual's contribution to the oncoming storm, in hopes that this will help reduce collective sin. I went out onto the street to find out just how many people knew about the impact of their sin. Sadly, due to recent storms causing old people to become a scarce commodity, we encountered the heart of the anti-individual sin rhetoric: young people. But first, a message from our sponsor.
We sponsored this show because we care. We care about you and your sin. We believe in the power of the Almighty, and we believe that the danger of the oncoming storm caused by your sin is serious.
We aim to raise awareness so that we can all continue to live in peace and harmony on this earth until we sit beside our Lord in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thank you.
Walking past me now are hundreds of people, and almost none of them know the disaster they are currently perpetuating. Through their thoughts and actions, their sin is being emitted all around us. This will soon be noticed. And, like in the Old Testament, God will deliver a biblical storm to wipe away this sin, and most of us with it. Are you aware of the role of your sin in causing the oncoming storm?
No. Sorry, what? Is it all my fault?
Well, it's more your fault than mine, bud, because at least I think about my footprint of sin.
Oh, if that's all I have to do to stop it, then I can start doing that now, I suppose.
With that, another person is saved. But sadly, one is not enough. To save mankind as we know it, we must all do the same.
Oh, so it's not all my fault.
Not everyone was as interested in being saved.
Don't come near me, satanic shill. I don't want to know anything about what you're selling or peddling or...
Did you know that your sin is causing the oncoming storm?
My sin? It's your sin. It's the sin of this and your sponsor. I have nothing to do with it.
That person will likely be one of the first scorched from the earth when the oncoming storm hits. These two examples highlight that many around us are ignorant to their role in the oncoming storm. Some of them even deny it. It's scary stuff. To offset the stupidity of the general public, we brought in 2 experts to discuss the oncoming storm. First, I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Lucian from our sponsor. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I do think this show is very important in trying to delay the oncoming storm. That piece we just saw was shocking. It just demonstrates how much work we still have to do to make people realise their impact.
And what if we can't make people realise? What else can we do?
Well, I started the Footprint of Sin campaign myself, along with the marketing team, headed by Jim, who you know, of course.
Yeah, love Jim, always picks up the check, great guy.
Yeah, top bloke. Anyway, we believe that this project will have a significant impact in making people realize that they are at fault for the oncoming storm. We've seen a number of schools adopt our tools to make children understand their sin, so they can combat it from an early age.
And what about those who don't believe? Is there any hope for those godless sinners?
There is. We have recently developed sin capture technology. Our pilot scheme was funded by one of the richest men on earth, and it's showing very promising results. This introduces the possibility that we will all be able to continue sinning without facing the wrath of God. Hallowed be thy name.
Of course. Interesting stuff. Well, thank you kindly, Mr. Lucian, for agreeing to be on our show and spreading your wisdom. Now, our next guest repulses me to even have them in the studio. It's only due to journalistic integrity standards that we've had to invite her on. This so-called scientist, Dr. Axiom, does not believe that individual sin is to blame, and instead, of all things, blames our wonderful, well-respected sponsor.
Wow, what a welcome. Thank you for having me. I want to start by correcting some of what Mr. Lucian has been saying. Firstly, I think the idea of sin capture is utterly ludicrous. The testing has been unbelievably expensive, sure, but the results are not even accurate. The only real way to stop the oncoming storm is for oil companies like Mr. Lucian's to...
Thank you for that, Doctor. Anyway, on to the interesting bit. Have at it, you two. Debate.
Well, I don't think there's much of a debate here, really, considering that one of us has a PhD, actually researching this stuff, whilst the other is just a corporate puppet for a company.
How dare you slander his name like that? I knew you were a madman. Apologise at once.
Quite all right. I think Dr. Axiom here is just frustrated by the lack of funding she receives compared to my department. Many of her classmates, they now work for Flame Drop Oil.
Oh, really?
They talk about how bad of a student she was.
Excuse me? I graduated top of every class. I even teach at that university. And unlike them, I didn't sell my soul to the devil. But that's besides the point. What this show should really be about is the primary contributor to the oncoming storm. The very company that sponsors it.
Don't be ridiculously godless heathen. Anyway, that's all the time we've got for your slander tonight. Thank you again, Mr. Lucian, for giving us your time. I look forward to the company's golf tournament this weekend. Now we go back out onto the street to see if we can really make a difference. Besides just being aware of the footprint of sin, what must you do? Well, I spoke to some normal people to find out. This person is a good example of what you can do.
Well, I always go to church on Sundays. I buy everything I can with the Made Without Sin sticker on it. And I love supporting companies like Flame Drop who follow God and highlight the sinful people around us.
Let me tell you, that's pretty much exactly what I do. And let me tell you, when the oncoming storm comes, you will be saved.
Well, I always watch your show and love when you shout at these godless people.
Some were not as enlightened.
Well, I can't leave the house on Sunday because my mother's too ill, so we have to stay at hers and pray there.
That's not good enough. How's the church meant to collect donations to fix its roof if you're not there?
I don't think my church...
It's another mad one.
Your sin is nothing compared to Flame Drops. The show's a lie. It's meant to make you doubt yourself.
Events like these are becoming more and more common. Luckily, the police arrested and beat that heretic woman. Like many others, she will undoubtedly rot in hell. Back to the studio. Sadly, we don't have much time left on the show tonight, or on Earth itself. Join me in prayer now, and hopefully you, like me, will be sitting on God's lap when the oncoming storm commences.